What do you consider a overhated anime? Well, that right here is what I'm going to be talking about today, Gleipnir. This is a anime series that I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to erase or forget about at one point, but this was a show that came out back in the spring of 2020. And I want to talk about the show today because, for one, this show officially marks 5 years since it's officially dropped. And I want to talk about like the impact, the implications of what the show has come out with at the time, and maybe showcase like why this show was overhated when it came out. It still is to this day. So Gleipnir was a anime show that came out by the good folks at Pine Jam Studios, which I think is a studio that not a lot of people have heard about because unfortunately for them, Gleipnir would be one of the reasons this studio kind of got plagued in controversy after its release. But if you don't know what Pine Jam Studios is known for, they're known for these you could say 20 shows. Let's see, oh sorry, 16 little anime shows here. And pretty much their main claim to fame when they first broke into the scene was in 2017's Gamers, which was a romantic comedy anime slice of life, which I heard got like a really good reception when it first came out. I never really got into it because I just didn't have the time nor the it just didn't really gravitate towards me. But this was the show that really put Pine Jam Studios on the map. Then, case in point, after Gamers dropped, it would be a while until they would then eventually drop Gleipnir. But as you notice, they don't have like a huge anime discography, even though they've been established since 2015. So the only shows that I have heard about that have been really good, that I have watched or I've talked about at some point or another, have been shows like Kubo-san Won't Let Me Be Invincible, which was a show that was a really nice, really cute slice of comedy anime, which was really well told, really was a beautiful, gorgeous anime. But I ultimately thought that it fell short on the wayside of what it was trying to aim for. Then there's also the Tis Time for Tortured Princess was a show that came out last year from them, which I unfortunately dropped because it had a really cool, really funny concept, but over time it just became really stale, really old, real fast. And I just couldn't get past the first two episodes because the fact that it had like that super annoying factor into it with the voice acting, with the way they portray the characters being dumb and stupid. And let's not forget that the hero of this show, the princess, is really stupid that she just wants to be tortured, and she's talking to a talking sword. Yeah, like I'm not even making that shit up. She's literally talking to a talking sword. I don't know what else to do. But then they were somehow on like a right on it's like some of a right direction with the do-it-yourself anime, which I heard was a really underrated show that came out in 2022. But I think I've said more about their background as been said, right? Gleipnir. This was a show that, in a nutshell, the concept of the show is pretty simple. It's about our two main characters here, Shuichi Kaguya and Claire Aoki, who one day they have two goals in mind. Shuichi trying to figure out, trying to make friends, trying to be like a normal person and be the hero that he wants to be with the power that he was given mysteriously. And meanwhile, Claire, her main goal is to find her estranged sister, Elena, who plays a pretty big role into Shuichi and Claire's life. And ultimately, the premise of the show is simply that they have these coins, and each time they use a coin and they give it to an alien, that they are granted wishes, they're granted powers essentially, which is hence how Shuichi got the power to become a big on full on teddy bear or wolf bear. But they realized that by combining both Claire and Shuichi's intelligence and power together, they can work like Voltron and kick ass and take names and essentially be able to save the world. And what is it they're trying to do, of course? Their goal is to, if I remember the premise, they're trying to collect like 100 coins, I believe, so that they can wish for the ultimate power to like save humanity or stop the coins from existing. It's a really weird, really interesting premise that for its time period when it came out, I was actually hooked on it. I actually liked it. I even saw clips of the show even recently to where I gotta say the animation of the show has still hold up to this day. The fight sequences still holds up, the voice acting still holds up. Yes, I understand that when you look at the show itself, that Every time Claire goes into her boy Shuichi, we're getting like some Evangelion PTSD vibes, or kind of maybe going in a little bit of a stupid, goofy direction, like it was with Darling the Friend did that whole little mecha pilot bullshit. But past these 13 episodes, I even went into the manga, and when I read the manga is super short, by the way. It's 14 volumes, 88 chapters. I thought that it was really good. Yes, there are some criticisms to this day that like the ending was super lackluster. It was rushed. It wasn't up to snuff to what everyone was hoping for. But I thought that Gleipnir did a pretty okay job of like ending it. It wasn't perfect. It's definitely not like a mind blowing ending by any means, but I thought that it was pretty good for like at least giving us a good little send off, even though we will never get a second season of the show. Because again, there's some really cool and interesting characters that have some really amazing powers into them. Outside of like what Shuichi is able to do, you have Chiro Yoshioka, who has a really cool, interesting ability alike. They even have like characters who like Tadanori Sanabe, who, given this character and what he's known for, like he's probably like the most powerful person blessed with the star coin powers, and it's like really, really cool. And even like ends off on like a huge cliffhanger where they're gonna go into the forest and fight the big bad guys with Sanabe under their belt, which is really fucking cool, man. And they also hype us up with like one of the biggest, baddest villains at the time to come out, which was Kaito, who was like the big menacing villain that we would eventually see progress and become in the manga series. But even with that being said, it's such a shame that with how big this show was, the the popularity of the show would then end in some massive controversy, from the way the characters are portrayed to the story to essentially like kind of ruining Pine Jam Studios like reputation in a little bit. Because like I said, they do have a pretty good anime discography under their belt, and they've been around since 2015, and that doesn't mean that they haven't stopped at the moment. It's more like they're taking a break. But as you can see, they don't have like a huge anime under their belt because of how much Gleipnir's reception became. Because again, when the show first came out, people were either loving the show or absolutely hating the show for what it was going for. Some even saying that it was not only a ripoff of Darn the Fran, but some saying that hey, we're getting like another second coming of Mirai and Nikki, which is again another show that has divided many people to this day. Even some even like revisiting the show, saying that oh yeah, Mirai Nikki, not too good. And it's a damn shame because like I said, I think Gleipnir is a must watch for anyone that wants to watch something that's out there and zany and maybe like loves like going to a different direction when it comes to like how does the protagonist get his powers, how does he resolve the world at large. And yes, it is like depressing at times when you watch this show, and maybe it can be a little bit gross and uncomfortable for some, but I think if you give this show a watch, just maybe like give it a couple episodes of the watch, it's definitely worth checking out. And again, obviously, with my score being a 7 out of 10, I still stand by that score to this day. Again, I'm not saying that this is like the best anime of all time. It's not perfect, but I just think that the amount of hate that the show got when it first came out and still getting a lot of hate to this day is a little bit underwhelming. And yeah, I just want to talk about Gleipnir. I know I probably went on a freaking tangent trying to talk about why Gleipnir is really good, but I hope that this is a good recommendation for you to check it out. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Later.